Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into the most captivating topics, sifting through the noise to bring you the clearest insights. Today we're embarking on a journey to explore perhaps the most profound question humanity has ever pondered. Are we alone in the universe? It's a question that feels, well, as old as time itself, whispered in ancient myths and pondered under starry skies. But our modern understanding of it, especially concerning UFOs or UAPs, as they're now officially known in alien encounters, has taken such a fascinating and often surprising journey, from fringe speculation right to the front pages of our newspapers.
It truly has. It's remarkable, isn't it? What was once relegated to, hushed conversations and sci-fi conventions is now being discussed in the halls of Congress. It's being dissected by mainstream media. It's quite an evolution in public and official discourse, challenging long-held assumptions.
Absolutely. So our mission for this deep dive is to take a stack of truly compelling sources, everything from ancient texts to the most recent government disclosures, whistleblower testimonies, the lot, and really unpack what we think we know, what we don't know, and crucially, what these enduring mysteries truly reflect about us as a species. Our goal for you, our listener, is to give you a shortcut, a way to be genuinely well-informed on this captivating topic, complete with some surprising facts and hopefully just enough humor to keep you hooked. We want to help you connect the dots yourself.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be tracing those mysterious lights in the sky right from humanity's earliest records. We'll delve deep into the psychology behind why we perceive and interpret what we see, and explore how what was once dismissed as fringe is now demanding serious official attention and reshaping our cultural landscape. It's a comprehensive journey, really, through history, psychology, science, and these cutting-edge revelations.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our journey begins, as many great stories do, way back, in the distant past. Before the term UFO even existed, people were looking up and seeing things they just couldn't explain. We're talking ancient encounters here, humanity's very first glimpses of phenomena that defied their understanding at the time. It forces us to ask, were these purely imaginative tales, or did they genuinely observe something extraordinary?
Indeed. I mean, if you delve into ancient texts like the Mahabharata, the epic Sanskrit poem from ancient India, you find these vivid descriptions of incredible flying chariots known as vimanas. And these aren't just, simple airborne vehicles. The texts describe them as having truly astonishing capabilities, like the ability to travel between planets, deploy powerful weapons, vanish at will, things like that.
Wow.
Think about that for a moment. Thousands of years ago, long before even basic flight was conceived in the West, people were writing about craft capable of interstellar travel. It raises fundamental questions, doesn't it, about the nature of ancient knowledge or observation?
And it absolutely makes you wonder, were these purely mythological flights of fancy, products of incredibly imaginative minds? Or could these detailed descriptions hint at observations of something real, that sparked such vivid, almost technological narratives? The idea that these are alternative interpretations, either of a highly advanced pre-modern human tech or maybe even ancient contact, it's certainly provocative. It stirs a debate that, well, it still resonates today.
It absolutely is. And this phenomenon isn't just confined to written texts, Across the globe, we find ancient artistic depictions that further fuel this debate. If you look at Mayan stelae, Egyptian hieroglyphs, or Mesopotamian cylinder seals, for example, you can find figures that some people interpret as humanoid beings wearing what look like helmets or strange suits, alongside peculiar flying objects that don't immediately resemble known ancient technologies or, traditional mythical creatures. The consistency of some of these motifs across vastly separated cultures is quite striking.
So on one hand, you have theorists looking at these compelling images and saying, aha, here's tangible early evidence of extraterrestrial contact, or at least visitation. They point to the unusual forms, the technological seeming aspects, but then on the other hand, skeptics argue these are purely symbolic or ritualistic imagery, reflecting spiritual beliefs, astronomical observations, or sophisticated metaphors rather than literal sightings.
Exactly. They interpret these figures as deities, or maybe priests in ceremonial garb or astronomical alignments. This ongoing debate perfectly illustrates how deeply ingrained this question of what was seen is, and how different cultures have historically tried to make sense of the unexplained within their own frameworks, their own understanding.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of things only comprehensible from an aerial perspective, we have to talk about the Nazca Lines in Peru. These aren't just drawings, they are enormous geoglyphs, etched into the arid earth itself across miles of desert. They depict this vast array of subjects, animals like hummingbirds and monkeys, intricate plants, or perfect geometric shapes like spirals and trapezoids.
The truly mind-bending part, and what makes them central to this discussion, is that you can only fully appreciate their scale, their intricate design, and their overall coherence. From high above, from the sky, standing on the ground, you can barely make out individual lines.
It almost feels designed for an aerial perspective, doesn't it?
Precisely. And that singular detail is what fuels the entire debate surrounding them. On one side, you have theorists asking, who else but someone from the sky, or someone communicating with beings from the sky, would need such markers? They propose that the Nazca Lines were perhaps colossal landing strips or navigational guides, maybe even messages meant to be seen by visitors from above. This theory gained, significant traction in popular culture despite a lack of direct evidence for alien involvement.
Right, but the skeptics have a different take.
Of course. Conversely, skeptics argue they were created for purely human purposes, deeply integrated into the Nazca culture. These purposes could have been ritualistic paths for ceremonies, a form of colossal astronomical calendar, or even territorial markers. They highlight the incredible human ingenuity required to plan and execute such massive projects without aerial views during construction. Maybe using observation points on nearby hills or scaled models, something like that. This enduring debate perfectly encapsulates the broader conversation around unexplained phenomena. Interpretations are often shaped by one's existing worldview and, well, a deep-seated desire for answers.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. The dawn of the modern UFO era. The post-war phenomena that truly kicked off what we now understand as UFO culture. And you just can't talk about that without starting with the Roswell Incident in 1947. This single event cast a shadow of suspicion that has lingered for decades.
Roswell is absolutely pivotal. It's like a crucible for modern UFO mythology. It began with initial reports of a flying disc crashing on a ranch near Roswell, New Mexico. The local Air Force Base initially issued a press release confirming the recovery of a flying disc, which immediately ignited public imagination.
Right, they confirmed it first.
Yes, but then, within hours, that official narrative was dramatically retracted. The military then claimed it was merely a weather balloon. This immediate contradictory confirmation followed by rapid denial fueled decades of profound suspicion. It became the quintessential example of alleged government cover-up in the public mind.
And later, we learned that the incident was declassified as part of Project Mogul, an operation to detect Soviet nuclear tests using high-altitude balloons with sound detection equipment. The idea was that what crashed was that a Project Mogul balloon, not an extraterrestrial craft. But for many, especially the growing number of skeptics and conspiracy theorists, this re-explanation only deepened public distrust. If they were willing to hide a secret weather balloon program with such a contradictory narrative, what else were they hiding? It created this almost permanent wedge,
Precisely. It created a narrative of official obfuscation that persists to this day, became the blueprint for every subsequent government denial. And on a related note, the same year, 1947, also gave us the iconic term flying saucer, which captured the popular imagination globally.
And how did that phrase even come about? It's a fantastic story of how language shapes perception, isn't it?
It truly is. It all started with pilot Kenneth Arnold. After observing a formation of 9 objects moving at incredible speeds near Mount Rainier, he described their movement, not their shape, as skipping like saucers on water. He was just trying to convey the erratic, fluid motion he witnessed. The irony is the craft he reportedly saw were actually crescent-shaped, not disc-like at all.
Not saucers.
Not saucers, but the catchy visual simile of flying saucers stuck. The media seized on it, embedded the term into our lexicon as the quintessential image of UFOs for decades, despite its origin in a description of motion rather than form. It's a testament to the power of a memorable phrase, really.
That's a perfect example. Okay, moving beyond the pure sightings and the debris fields, the human connection deepened significantly with the rise of the contactee movement, 1950s, 70s. This isn't just about seeing lights, it's about direct purported interaction.
That's a crucial shift. This was a fascinating period, a kind of spiritual counterpoint to the technological focus of early sightings. You had figures like George Adamski, who gained widespread fame, claiming ongoing direct communications with benevolent Nordic aliens from Venus and other planets, apparently. These beings were often portrayed as wise, spiritual teachers concerned with humanity's destructive path, delivering messages of peace, environmentalism, and spiritual enlightenment.
And what's fascinating here is how these tales often mixed profound spiritual messages, sometimes even warnings about nuclear weapons during the Cold War, with prevailing societal anxieties. These narratives weren't just about aliens. They were powerful reflections of our collective anxieties and hopes during a really turbulent time. They offered a sense of external guidance or salvation, maybe, a cosmic hope in a world grappling with self-destruction.
Exactly. They tapped into a deep human yearning for external intervention, for someone wiser to guide us away from the brink. Then, in 1961, we get what is arguably the seminal alien abduction story, the Betty and Barney Hill abduction. This isn't just another tale, it became the blueprint. It shaped virtually every subsequent abduction narrative, from pop culture to therapy sessions.
The Hills, an interracial couple, reported a period of lost time during a drive through rural New Hampshire. Under separate hypnotic regression sessions, they independently recalled remarkably similar, harrowing encounters with gray-skinned beings, who subjected them to physical examinations aboard a craft. What made their story so impactful were the exceptionally detailed star maps Barney recalled seeing, which decades later some researchers claimed matched actual star systems, adding a layer of compelling, though disputed external corroboration.
Disputed is key there. But regardless of the scientific veracity, their account profoundly influenced the archetypal gray alien and the classic abduction scenario, including invasive medical procedures and memory suppression. It truly standardized the narrative, created a template.
Right, a template for what an alien abduction should look like in the public consciousness. So from ancient chariots to benevolent Venusians and the iconic gray alien, the phenomenon evolves. But it isn't just about civilian sightings or abductions. It's also deeply intertwined with military encounters, often in highly secure airspace, which lends a different weight to the observations. The Rendlesham Forest Incident in 1980 in the UK is a prime example, isn't it? And it really contrasts with something like Roswell because of the witnesses involved.
It does. Unlike Roswell, where the initial official explanation quickly changed and involved civilian reports, Rendlesham Forest involved multiple trained U.S. military witnesses, including high-ranking officers from the Bentwaters Woodbridge Air Force Base. They encountered unexplained lights and a metallic triangular craft over several nights. What truly lends it a different level of credibility compared to earlier anecdotes are the direct observations of a structured craft. The reported radar anomalies and, crucially, the existence of official written reports from military personnel detailing their observations. They even found physical traces at the site, reportedly. It's a significant case because it comes from highly credible, trained observers operating within a sensitive military context. Much harder to just brush off.
Yeah, it presents a consistent multi-witness account from people trained to identify aircraft and report accurately under stress. And before we move on to the psychological dimensions, you mentioned a lesser-known fact. Something about a woodcut.
Ah, yes. It's a fascinating piece that adds another layer to this historical journey. The Nuremberg woodcut from 1561.
1561. I find this piece of historical evidence truly captivating. What exactly does it depict? Why is it so relevant here?
Well, it's a unique and somewhat unsettling piece of visual evidence from centuries past. It's a historical woodcut from Nuremberg, Germany, dated April 14th, 1561. It serves as a broadsheet, like an early newspaper report, describing what appears to be an aerial battle, a big one. It depicts numerous cylindrical and spherical UFOs, or rather objects that we today would immediately identify with our current understanding of UAPs, engaging in combat above the city, with other objects reportedly falling to Earth in a fiery spectacle. The artist's depiction clearly shows objects of various geometric shapes, spheres, cylinders, crosses. The remarkable thing is how the centuries-old depiction resonates so powerfully with modern sightings. It suggests a long, perhaps continuous human history of observing unexplained phenomena in the sky, prompting us to ask, what were they truly seeing back then? And how did they interpret it within their worldview? It complicates the idea that this is solely a modern thing.
It's genuinely mind-bending, the consistency across such vast stretches of time and culture. Okay, so we've traced the physical manifestations, these lights and objects. But the UFO story isn't just about things out there. Perhaps the most captivating part isn't just what's out there, but what's happening right here, in our minds, in our societies. Let's shift focus to the psychological and sociological dimensions. This is where it gets profoundly human, isn't it?
That's a critical observation. The UFO phenomenon, beyond being a subject of potential scientific inquiry into unknown aerial phenomena, functions as a powerful mirror, reflecting our collective psyche and societal anxieties. One of the most insightful perspectives on this comes from Carl Jung, the renowned Swiss psychiatrist.
Jung interpreted flying saucers as a modern myth. He wasn't necessarily saying they weren't physically real, right? But that their emergence into public consciousness and the way we reacted to them told us something profound about ourselves. What did he mean by framing them this way? Was he suggesting they served a particular psychological function?
Especially during the Cold War.
That's exactly it. For Jung, these sightings weren't just about what was in the sky, but what was happening within us. He saw flying saucers as a collective projection, a symbolic yearning for resolution or an external savior amidst the existential dread of nuclear annihilation and the global uncertainty that characterized the Cold War era. They became a vessel for our collective anxieties, our search for meaning, our deep psychological need for order in a chaotic world. Jung theorized that humanity, facing these unprecedented threats, subconsciously created this myth of external superior beings who might either offer salvation or represent an ultimate unifying power. It forces us to ask, what stories do we tell ourselves when we're facing the unknown?
That really brings a profound depth to the discussion, framing it beyond mere physical sightings. And building on that, sociologists have pointed to the power of suggestion, mass hysteria, collective delusion, playing a significant role in waves of sightings. It suggests our perceptions can be deeply influenced by external factors.
They absolutely do. Sociologists have found a direct correlation. Waves of UFO sightings often surge dramatically right after intense media coverage. It's a classic example of what's sometimes termed collective delusion or social contagion, where hyped media attention effectively primes people to see what their culture has led them to expect. When a major newspaper reports a sighting, it sensitizes the public to look for similar phenomena. It can even influence their interpretation of ambiguous stimuli. This creates a feedback loop. Reports lead to media coverage leads to increased awareness and more sightings, and so on. It's not to say that nothing is seen, mind you, but rather that the interpretation, frequency, and widespread nature of sightings can be significantly influenced by societal expectations and media framing.
So the media doesn't just report on the sightings. It can, in a way, help create the conditions for more sightings and shape how we understand them. And then there are the people who claim direct contact, the experiencers of alien abductions. Abduction narratives often share common psychological themes, which is a fascinating area of research.
Yes. When researchers analyze these narratives, particularly those recalled under hypnosis or in therapeutic settings, they often find elements consistent with known psychological phenomena. For example, some aspects mirror sleep paralysis, where individuals wake up feeling paralyzed, often experiencing vivid hallucinations or a strong sense of presence, which can easily be interpreted as an alien encounter in the right cultural context. Other common psychological themes include aspects of trauma recovery, dissociation, a detachment from reality, or even confabulation, where the mind fills in memory gaps. These are important considerations for understanding the subjective internal experience of the phenomenon.
But this isn't the whole story, is it? Because many experiencers describe profound, life-transforming events that go far beyond simple psychological states or common sleep disorders. There's a deeper, perhaps more inexplicable impact.
That's the crucial counterbalance, and it's what makes the phenomenon so complex. All psychological explanations are valid for some aspects and can offer comfort to experiencers seeking understanding. Many individuals who report abductions describe profound, often positive, life changes. They report gaining new artistic abilities, experiencing philosophical clarity about the universe and their place in it, undergoing significant spiritual shifts, or developing an intense environmental consciousness. For instance, some describe a sudden, unexplained aptitude for a musical instrument, or a new, profound empathy for all living things. This suggests a deeper, more complex impact that can't be fully explained by just one psychological framework. It implies a transformative experience, regardless of its ultimate, still debated origin.
That's genuinely fascinating, suggesting the phenomenon, whatever its source, can profoundly alter an individual's life trajectory. And there's a really striking behavioral pattern when we look at the history of UFO sightings across the globe. They consistently surge during times of significant geopolitical stress or societal unrest.
This is a pattern that encourages deep reflection, and it speaks volumes about the human condition. We saw it during the peak of the Cold War: immense global fear, nuclear threat, uncertainty. Sightings surged. We saw similar surges post 9/11, another moment of profound anxiety and instability. And even during the recent COVID-19 lockdowns, as people were confined, grappling with an unseen threat, there were reports of increased sightings. This correlation between social unrest and a heightened interest in, or yearning for, otherworldly intervention raises an important question. What does it truly signify about human nature? Is it a collective coping mechanism? A search for answers beyond our control? A projection of our hopes and fears onto the unknown? Or something else entirely? It suggests that when our immediate world feels chaotic or out of control, we instinctively look to the sky for answers, perhaps, or for a savior, or simply to contextualize our predicament within a larger, more mysterious universe.
So this phenomenon is not just about lights in the sky. It's deeply interwoven with us, our fears, our hopes, our anxieties, how we cope with uncertainty. And that brings us to the present day, where something truly remarkable has happened. What was once dismissed as fringe speculation, the domain of enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists, is now undeniably formal. We're talking about the mainstreaming of UAPs.
This is arguably the most significant shift in the UFO discourse in decades, fundamentally reshaping how the topic is perceived. Gone are the days when discussing UFOs immediately put you in the tinfoil hat category. The turning point really came in 2017 with a groundbreaking revelation.
That was the earth-shattering New York Times report, the one that exposed the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, ASTIP. This program, operating in secret for years, had actually spent millions of taxpayer dollars studying UFOs, or as the government now prefers, UAPs. Unidentified aerial phenomena. This wasn't some independent grassroots effort. This was an officially sanctioned, government-funded initiative.
Right. And what's fascinating here is that this wasn't just a report on anecdotal sightings. It was a program funded by the U.S. government, quietly operating for years, dedicated to investigating these unexplained phenomena. This revelation, along with the release of compelling declassified videos, immediately pulled the topic from the realm of fringe conspiracy to official government interest and national security concern. It forced a conversation, and the acknowledgement only grew, gaining unprecedented momentum.
It did. The years 2020 to 2023 saw even more profound changes. Official U.S. government acknowledgement and transparency. The Pentagon itself, through various official channels, released verified videos of UAPs. These weren't just blurry dots. The videos like Flair, Gimbal, and Go Fast depicted objects performing maneuvers that, according to highly experienced military pilots, defied known physics. We're talking rapid acceleration, instantaneous stops, movement against high winds without any discernible propulsion, no exhaust plumes.
And then came the congressional hearings, a truly unprecedented development. Whistleblowers, notably former intelligence officer David Grush, testified under oath in 2023, making explosive claims that the U.S. government possesses not only non-human craft, but also biologics recovered from crash sites. He asserted that these programs had been secretly operating for decades, concealed from Congress. This section underscores a dramatic, undeniable move from decades of outright denial and dismissal to a cautious, yet undeniably open discussion at the highest levels of government, shifting the public discourse fundamentally.
It's a complete reversal of official policy, and it's nothing short of extraordinary. And this mainstreaming isn't just happening in government files or congressional hearings. It's also deeply embedded in our pop culture. Extraterrestrials, alien visitation, unexplained phenomena. They're core parts of our everyday storytelling now.
Blurring the lines of what we perceive as reality. Absolutely. Think about how deeply ingrained these themes have become. Netflix documentaries like Unacknowledged or The Phenomenon delve into government secrecy around UFOs, often featuring credible witnesses and declassified documents. And beyond documentaries, consider how pervasive alien narratives are in entertainment. Marvel superhero narratives, for example, frequently feature alien races like the Skrulls or the Kree. Interstellar conflicts are core plot lines across countless films and TV shows. This widespread cultural presence increasingly blurs the lines between science fiction and what's perceived as plausible reality, making the idea of extraterrestrial life or visitation less outlandish and more, well, normal. The idea of aliens is no longer just for niche sci-fi fans. It's part of our collective cultural shorthand.
And there's a fascinating trend alert here. A new generation, specifically Gen Z and millennials, are engaging with UFO discourse in a completely different way. Through alien core aesthetics on social media, playful Area 51 memes that went viral, and specialized podcasts like Weaponize that blend serious inquiry with informal discussion. It's a striking contrast to previous generations' often more fearful or secretive engagement.
What's fascinating here is how this generation has integrated UFOs not as some scary fringe curiosity, but as an integral, often ironic and normalized part of their digital culture and online identity. For them, it's not just a conspiracy theory, it's a subject of shared humor, collective curiosity, and sometimes genuine activism for transparency. They engage with it playfully, creating art and memes, while simultaneously demanding accountability from institutions. It's part of their shared digital lexicon and a space for community building. It normalizes the conversation and brings it into everyday interactions in a way we haven't seen before.
It's a truly fascinating shift. But with all this mainstream attention, the shift from fringe to formal, it's also important to untangle the web, to look at the controversies, to rigorously debunk some popular myths, and to understand the critical nuances. Without that, we risk falling into new forms of misinformation.
Critical thinking is absolutely essential here, isn't it? In a world of information overload. And the UFO phenomenon is unfortunately rife with misinformation and enduring myths. One of those pervasive, enduring, and frankly damaging myths is the idea that aliens built the pyramids or other ancient megalithic structures.
You hear this everywhere. Documentaries, online forums, casual conversations. The sheer scale, precision, the architectural marvel of the pyramids. It leads some to believe it was simply beyond human capabilities back then, therefore requiring some form of extraterrestrial assistance or advanced forgotten technology.
And while ancient astronaut theories certainly persist and capture the imagination, the truth, according to virtually all mainstream Egyptologists and archaeologists, is overwhelming evidence of staggering human ingenuity, organizational prowess, sheer hard work. We have detailed historical records, including papyri describing the logistics of materials and labor. We have specific tools discovered at excavation sites, ramps, levers, chisels that demonstrate the techniques used. And perhaps most compellingly, we have clear evidence of massive organized workforces, often hundreds of thousands of highly skilled laborers and artisans, housed and fed, involved in their construction. The entire process has been meticulously researched and largely understood. It was an incredible feat of human engineering and organization that spanned generations. Not extraterrestrial intervention. It's crucial to give credit where credit is profoundly due to the ancient Egyptians.
That's a crucial reality check, reminding us of the incredible capabilities of ancient civilizations. Another common myth, especially given the broad scope of UAP's unidentified aerial phenomena, is the immediate leap that all UFOs are, by definition, extraterrestrial.
And the truth is, while the term UFO initially sparks images of flying saucers, many, if not most, sightings are ultimately identified as something entirely conventional or explainable. They could be misidentified conventional aircraft, commercial planes, military jets, helicopters, especially at night, or from unusual angles or in weird atmospheric conditions that distort their appearance. Many are weather balloons, which, as we saw with Roswell, can look very strange and behave unexpectedly at high altitudes. Others are satellites, drones, or even space debris re-entering the atmosphere. Or, and this is a key point, in some cases they are indeed classified Earth-based government technology, experimental aircraft or intelligence-gathering platforms, which governments are understandably reluctant to disclose. This further fuels the mystery and contributes to misidentification. It's crucial to remember that unidentified doesn't automatically mean alien or extraterrestrial. It simply means not yet identified.
And this brings us to a really interesting paradox when we discuss the government's role in all of this. There's an inherent contradiction. On one hand, government secrecy undeniably fuels conspiracy theories, right? If they don't tell us anything, or worse, deny what seems obvious, we assume the worst. That they're hiding something far more profound.
Exactly. The lack of transparency creates a vacuum that the public readily fills with speculation, distrust, and a proliferation of often elaborate theories. People reason that if the government is so intent on denying or classifying something, it must be because the truth is too monumental or too threatening. This erosion of trust can be incredibly damaging. But what's also fascinating and deeply challenging for authorities is that even government disclosure, especially when the footage is blurry, ambiguous, or the explanations are incomplete, can also lead to increased skepticism and even more theories.
That's a powerful point. People question the quality of the footage, or why only certain information is released, or why there isn't more definitive proof. It leads to accusations of partial disclosure or controlled narratives.
Precisely. It creates a catch-22 for governments. If they say nothing, they're accused of cover-ups. If they release something, they're accused of manipulating the truth or only showing what they want us to see. This points to the immense difficulty of managing public perception in this realm, where trust is already eroded and the subject matter itself is so inherently enigmatic. There's a deep-seated human desire for definitive answers, and when those aren't provided, suspicion can easily take root.
It really does seem like a challenging tightrope walk for them. If neither silence nor ambiguous disclosure truly builds trust, what's left? It highlights the complexity of managing a topic with such a long history of public mistrust. But this phenomenon isn't just a US or Western thing. There are fascinating lesser-known truths that strongly point to a global phenomenon, not confined by political borders.
That's a critical piece of the puzzle. A prime example is the lesser-known truth that Soviet UFO archives from the 1980s, which have since been partially declassified, described remarkably similar craft and phenomena to US sightings. During the height of the Cold War, a period of intense geopolitical rivalry and profound secrecy on both sides. Both superpowers were reportedly observing strikingly similar unexplained aerial phenomena in their respective airspaces.
It's astonishing. Despite being ideological enemies locked in a technological arms race, they were seemingly encountering the same types of anomalies. What kind of craft were they describing? What was the official Soviet stance?
The Soviet reports described objects with similar characteristics to those reported in the West. Silent, high-speed, maneuvering in ways that defied known aerospace capabilities, often appearing as disks, triangles, or spheres. Soviet military personnel and scientists were just as perplexed. While the official stance was often one of denial or dismissal for public consumption, internal documents reveal serious scientific and military interest. With programs dedicated to studying these phenomena, this strongly suggests that whatever these objects are, whether misidentifications, secret Earth tech, or something truly anomalous, they are a global rather than a localized phenomenon. It adds another layer of intrigue, indicating a widespread occurrence that transcends national boundaries and political systems.
So we've debunked some pervasive myths and looked at the truly global nature of it all, challenging the notion that this is solely a Western curiosity. Now let's turn to the experts themselves. What are the mainstream scientific views versus some of the more alternative and radical theories out there, especially as our understanding of UAPs evolves?
When it comes to mainstream scientific views, a physicist and astrophysicist like Neil deGrasse Tyson represents a grounded, evidence-based scientific perspective. He consistently argues that most UFOs are likely atmospheric phenomena, conventional technological phenomena that are misidentified, or simply data that lacks sufficient resolution to be conclusive.
Right, he emphasizes a kind of Occam's razor approach.
Yeah.
The simplest, most mundane explanation is often the most probable until extraordinary evidence proves otherwise. He prioritizes scientific rigor and verifiable data.
Precisely. Tyson maintains that while there are genuinely unidentified phenomena, assuming they are extraterrestrial is a leap of faith not yet supported by the kind of extraordinary evidence required. He often points out the lack of tangible physical proof, such as debris that can be scientifically analyzed and confirmed. But then you have someone like Michio Kaku, another highly respected theoretical physicist, who offers a more intriguing and, well, open-minded take on the same phenomena.
Indeed. Michio Kaku acknowledges that many of the reported UAPs seem to defy known physics. The rapid acceleration, the immediate stops, the lack of sonic boom, the maneuvers that conventional aircraft simply cannot perform. What does he suggest these anomalies could signal for humanity?
While he remains cautious and insists on empirical evidence, Michio Kaku has publicly suggested that if these UAPs are indeed real and exhibiting the properties reported by credible military witnesses, they could signal humanity entering a new scientific era. He speculates that these phenomena might hint at technologies or principles of physics far beyond our current understanding. This isn't just about identifying a craft, it's about a potential paradigm shift in our scientific understanding of the universe, forcing us to rethink propulsion, energy, maybe even the very fabric of space-time. His view is more open, suggesting a profound implication if these observations hold true.
That's a captivating thought, that these mysterious sightings could be a catalyst for a scientific revolution. And then we dive into the alternative and radical theories, the ones that truly challenge our conventional thinking about what these phenomena might represent. Jacques Vallée's interdimensional hypothesis is one of the most fascinating and, frankly, unsettling.
Vallée, a highly respected computer scientist, astronomer, and longtime UFO researcher, he proposes a deeply philosophical and challenging alternative, an alternative to the conventional nuts and bolts alien visitor theory. He suggests that UFOs are not necessarily extraterrestrial visitors from distant planets in our conventional understanding of space, but rather interdimensional.
Interdimensional. That's a significant departure. Could you elaborate on what he means by that?
Yeah.
And his concept of a control mechanism, because that sounds quite radical.
It is radical, and it fundamentally reorients the discussion. Vallée theorizes that these phenomena could be manifesting from a reality or dimension that exists alongside or beyond our conventional understanding of spacetime. His truly provocative idea is that these manifestations might be part of a sophisticated control mechanism designed to subtly influence or alter human consciousness over long periods. Think of it less as an invasion from outer space and more like a recurring, enigmatic signal, or a non-human intelligence that has been embedded in our reality, subtly guiding our societal and psychological development. Vallée posits these manifestations appear in ways that resonate with our current cultural understanding, appearing as ancient chariots in antiquity, flying saucers in the Cold War, UAPs today. thereby shaping our myths, influencing our religious beliefs, guiding our tech development, even subtly influencing our scientific paradigms. It's a deeply philosophical challenge to how we perceive reality, suggesting a more embedded, less alien next-door type of influence that aims to shape humanity itself.
That's a huge leap from little green men, or even advanced spacecraft. It suggests a more profound, almost spiritual influence on human development. And then, bringing it back to very recent events, we have the explosive claims of David Grush, which have undeniably reignited public and official debate.
Grush, a former intelligence officer who worked in UAP analysis, testified under oath in 2023, making the extraordinary and specific claim that the U.S. government not only possesses non-human craft, but has also recovered biologics, meaning non-human bodies, from crash sites. He asserted that this information had been illegally withheld from congressional oversight for decades, operating within highly secretive programs. While these claims are still being investigated and debated, and evidence has yet to be publicly presented, his testimony, given under oath in a congressional hearing, significantly reinforced the ongoing government disclosure narrative and added immense weight to the public discussion. It's another crucial data point in the shift from fringe to formal.
But, and this is vital, throughout all these theories and claims, from mainstream science to radical hypotheses, the skeptical stance remains constant. The fundamental, unyielding need for evidence. This is where scientific rigor clashes with anecdotal accounts.
This is where Carl Sagan's cornerstone principle becomes paramount. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Sagan, a renowned astronomer, science communicator, and staunch advocate for scientific rigor, championed this principle throughout his career. He emphasized the importance of verifiable, physical proof data that can be independently reproduced, tested, and scrutinized by the scientific community, before belief can move beyond the tentative. Without that, no matter how compelling the story, how numerous the witnesses, or how high the credibility of the individual making the claim, it fundamentally remains an unproven hypothesis. It's the bedrock of scientific inquiry, demanding more than just assertions.
So from mainstream science to radical theories and the unwavering demand for proof, it's a vast landscape of thought. Let's ground this with some specific case files that have captured public imagination. And then look at how vastly different cultures interpret these phenomena, revealing more about us than just what's in the sky.
These case studies are vital for understanding the concrete, though often disputed, events that have significantly shaped public perception and the UFO narrative. The Phoenix Lights incident in 1997 is one such example, noteworthy for its sheer scale of witnesses.
This was a mass sighting where thousands of people across Arizona, including the then Governor Fife Symington, witnessed a silent, massive, triangular or boomerang-shaped craft hovering over Phoenix and then slowly moving across the state. It was a prolonged event, observed by diverse groups of people.
The official military explanation was that it was a string of flares dropped by A-10 Warthog aircraft during a training exercise. However, this explanation was widely and vehemently disputed by eyewitnesses, many of whom described a single, colossal craft, sometimes even with distinct structural lights, blocking out stars as it passed, not individual, disparate lights. The stark discrepancy between the official explanation and widespread, consistent eyewitness accounts made it a particularly compelling and controversial case. Feeding into the public's distrust of official narratives, it really highlights how deeply personal and impactful these mass sightings can be.
That distinction between individual flares and a single massive object is critical. And then shifting geographically and culturally, we have Brazil's Varginha incident in 1996, often referred to as Brazil's Roswell, due to its similar themes of a crashed entity and military secrecy.
This event, centered in Varginha, Brazil, involved multiple local reports of a strange, small, reportedly injured being, with large red eyes and oily skin being encountered by civilians. What followed, according to numerous local accounts, were extensive reports of immediate military involvement. This included the alleged capture of the creature, a rapid, secretive military response to cordon off the area, and a significant shroud of secrecy surrounding the entire operation. Similar to Roswell, it involved claims of a retrieved entity, human and military interaction with it, and a swift, opaque official response, which has solidified its legend in South America and beyond. It's a compelling, albeit highly controversial, tale that echoes the core themes of crashed craft and retrieved non-human entities.
These specific examples really bring the broader discussion down to tangible, if still disputed, events, showing how these stories manifest on the ground. And it's truly fascinating how different societies interpret these very similar events. Let's look at cultural interpretations, how different societies around the world make sense of UFOs and UAPs. because this is where the phenomenon truly reflects humanity's diverse perspectives and deeply held beliefs.
This is where the phenomenon serves as a powerful lens on human culture. In the United States, for instance, UFOs are most often viewed through a militaristic or technological lens. Given our history with the Cold War, advanced military tech, and the current Pentagon reports, the primary questions are usually, are they a threat to national security? Do they possess advanced technology that could be weaponized or replicated? Are they spying on us? It's often framed within a pragmatic, security-focused, and technologically driven context.
That makes perfect sense given the historical context of Project Blue Book and military involvement. But in Latin America, especially in countries like Mexico, Chile, or Brazil, it's a completely different vibe, isn't it? What's the prevailing cultural filter there?
Entirely. In Latin America, the narrative around UFOs is often deeply interwoven with indigenous folklore, spiritual beliefs, and even a strong sense of personal mysticism. They're less frequently viewed through a military threat lens and more often considered mystical or even spiritual entities. For instance, in countries like Mexico, sightings might be interpreted as a return of ancient deities or celestial beings, sometimes associated with pre-Columbian mythology. Encounters can be seen as omens, spiritual lessons, or even blessings. There are often stories of individuals feeling a deeper connection to nature or receiving profound spiritual guidance after an encounter. This leads to a less technological, more ethereal, and personal interpretation, where the phenomenon is integrated into a broader cosmic and spiritual understanding. Rather than just advanced machinery, it's a narrative of connection, not just observation.
And Japan. I understand their interpretation links to Shinto cosmology and the concept of kami. How does that manifest?
That's right. In Japan, sightings can be linked to their indigenous Shinto cosmology, which reveres the natural world and its spirits. They might be interpreted as kami, which are divine beings or spirits that inhabit elements of nature, sacred places, or even exist as abstract concepts. So an inexplicable object in the sky might be seen as a manifestation of a kami, an otherworldly being that is part of the natural order of the cosmos. Rather than a physical spacecraft from another planet, it's a spiritual, almost reverent interpretation that integrates the unknown into existing spiritual frameworks. They are respected, not necessarily feared.
And in Africa, how do they view these phenomena across their incredibly diverse cultures? Is there a common thread?
In many African cultures, the interpretation of unexplained aerial phenomena is often blended with ancestral beliefs and the rich tapestry of local mythologies. They might be viewed as spirits returning, or perhaps even interdimensional travelers, connecting to existing belief systems about the thin veil between worlds. Some interpretations view them as celestial beings, or even as benevolent ancestors, bringing messages or warnings. It's not necessarily about spaceships and advanced technology, but about beings traversing different realities, deeply connected to the spiritual landscape of the land and its people. The emphasis is often on the mystical, rather than the mechanical.
And even in Islamic interpretations, there's a fascinating link to existing spiritual entities, suggesting a cross-cultural resonance with pre-existing belief systems.
Yes, some Islamic scholars and cultural commentators associate alien-like beings or certain unexplained phenomena with jinn, spiritual entities mentioned in the Quran. Jinn exist in a realm beyond conventional human perception, are capable of both good and evil, and can interact with humans, sometimes appearing in various forms. This pre-existing belief system provides a framework through which to understand and contextualize unexplained encounters, drawing parallels with these powerful, unseen entities rather than necessarily categorizing them as technologically advanced beings from other planets.
This cultural diversity reveals such a powerful truth, doesn't it? That UFOs reflect not just what we see in the sky, but who we are on the ground. It's a profound shift in focus, isn't it? From solely external mystery to internal reflection. It challenges us to look inward.
It's precisely that. The narratives and interpretations we construct around UFOs tell us more about our collective hopes, our societal fears, our current scientific understanding, and our deeply ingrained cultural beliefs than they might about the objects themselves. It's a mirror reflecting our worldview, our anxieties about the future, our place in the universe, and our perennial search for meaning in the face of the unknown. The UFO phenomenon becomes a canvas onto which humanity paints its deepest questions.
That's a fantastic point to end this section on. Now let's apply a critical lens to all of this. What are the inherent strengths and potential benefits of engaging with the UFO phenomenon? And conversely, what are its weaknesses and dangers that we need to be cautious about?
Looking at the upsides, what good can genuinely come from this pursuit? There are several compelling strengths and tangible benefits. First and foremost, the phenomenon undeniably encourages profound scientific inquiry and cosmological curiosity. It makes us ask big questions about the universe, the limits of our knowledge, and our place within that vastness. It drives fundamental scientific curiosity.
It definitely forces us to look beyond our own planet and our conventional understanding of physics and biology, which is a healthy intellectual exercise. It pushes boundaries.
Exactly. It challenges anthropocentric thinking, the ingrained idea that humans are the pinnacle of creation or the sole intelligent life in the cosmos. It forces us to confront the possibility of other intelligences, other ways of being, and to humbly reconsider our unique position. And in a strange way, this shared global mystery can unify diverse populations in shared wonder and fascination. The mystery belongs to everyone, cutting across national and cultural divides.
That's true. It's a universal question that ignites curiosity across the globe. And what about the more tangible benefits that might arise from this pursuit, beyond just philosophical shifts?
Tangibly, the rigorous pursuit of understanding UAPs can directly stimulate advancements in aerospace and detection technologies. When military personnel report unexplained phenomena that defy current capabilities, it drives significant innovation in radar systems, sensor technology, aerial observation techniques, data analysis. This is already evident in the Pentagon's renewed UAP efforts. Furthermore, it encourages crucial interdisciplinary collaboration across fields that might traditionally operate in silos: astronomy, atmospheric physics, psychology, sociology, history, even theology. People from radically different backgrounds are compelled to come together to try and make sense of this multifaceted phenomenon. This cross-pollination of ideas can lead to unexpected breakthroughs.
So there's genuine good and practical advancements that can come from this inquiry. But every phenomenon has its downsides and risks. Where do we need to exercise caution and maintain a critical perspective?
The weaknesses of the UFO phenomenon, especially in its popular discourse, are significant. It is often built predominantly on anecdotal, non-reproducible evidence. You can't put a one-off sighting or an abduction experience in a laboratory to test it, which makes it incredibly challenging from a rigorous scientific standpoint. The lack of consistent, verifiable data means that theories often proliferate without sufficient empirical grounding, and it's notoriously prone to sensationalism and misinformation. Every blurry photo or ambiguous radar blip can be inflated into definitive proof of alien visitation, which can easily obscure genuine scientific inquiry and lead to wild, unfounded speculation.
And beyond the academic challenges of proof, what are the real-world dangers that can emerge when this phenomenon is mishandled or misunderstood?
The dangers are serious and can have real societal consequences. It can breed profound paranoia and deep mistrust in established institutions, whether it's the government, the military, or even the scientific community. If a large segment of the population believes they're being systematically lied to about something so fundamental, it can potentially erode social cohesion and democratic trust. Furthermore, and this is a dark side we've seen throughout history, the phenomenon can be exploited by charlatans, cults, or even foreign actors for profit, control, or disinformation campaigns. These groups prey on people's hopes, fears, or yearning for answers, potentially leading to financial ruin, emotional distress, or even physical harm, as evidenced by historical cults centered around alien visitation narratives. It's a powerful narrative that can be weaponized.
So, it's a double-edged sword. Exciting curiosity and scientific progress on one hand, but also the potential for misinformation, social erosion, and even exploitation on the other. This deep dive has truly been an incredible journey. We've gone from humanity's earliest encounters with mysterious vimanas and ancient art to modern government admissions of UAPs, complete with whistleblower testimonies. We have explored the profound psychological impacts on our collective consciousness, examining how our fears and hopes shape our perceptions, and seen how diverse cultures interpret these phenomena in their own unique ways. This topic, more than almost any other, touches upon fundamental aspects of the human experience: our curiosity, our fears, our yearning for meaning.
It absolutely does. And underpinning all of this, tying every thread together, is that single, powerful, eternal question: are we alone? The answer to that question, should it ever be definitively found, could profoundly redefine not just science, but religion, philosophy, and our very place in the universe. It's not merely a scientific question, it's an existential one that challenges the core of our identity.
It truly is. And perhaps, even if definitive, undeniable proof of alien visitation hasn't yet arrived in a way that satisfies everyone, the belief in them and the pervasive narrative surrounding UAPs has already dramatically changed us. It has united strangers in shared wonder and debate, challenged authorities to be more transparent, inspired incredible art, music, and literature, And perhaps most importantly, made us all look up, not always in fear, but often in profound hope and insatiable curiosity.
What's fascinating here is that the search for aliens is also, in a very real sense, a search for ourselves. It's about understanding our own limits, our own place in the vastness of the cosmos, and our own profound capacity for wonder and meaning-making. Whether future revelations come from distant galaxies or from a deeper self-awareness, this phenomenon continues to prompt us to look both outward into the unknown and inward to understand our own humanity.
A perfect thought to leave you with. The search for aliens is also a search for ourselves. Keep looking up, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.